This is QTV News. I am Mariatu Sidibe and thanks for joining us. Our top stories. Gambia's security sector reform agenda. President Barrow launches national security policy. TRRC resumes public hearings. UDP leader testifies. Dabo. Yankuba Toure threatened to burn me alive. For more on this and other stories coming up, stay tuned. President Adama Barrow said the security reform initiated by his government seeks to establish a safe and secured country for Gambians. The Gambian leader made this comment at the launch of the first ever national security policy on Monday at the local hotel in Kololi. Aliu Sise reports.
The launch of the national security policy follows several consultative activities with relevant stakeholders to canvass a wide view of opinion in drafting the policy. Supported by the United Nations and partners, the security reform project was launched by President Barrow in September 2017 to transform the security sector, which the current government said was politicized and had not been responsive to the needs of the people under former President Yahya Jammeh. The reform seeks to ensure the enhancement of effective and accountable security for the state and its people without discrimination and with full respect for human rights and the rule of law. It is also recognized as an important way of consolidating peace and security and in laying the foundations for sustainable peace.
Experience has shown that it is difficult to successfully reform any security sector in the absence of the necessary and appropriate framework to guide and direct its operation and management. Thus, the need for a policy and a strategic framework is most urgent and critical. My government has launched a number of initiatives aimed at improving coordination between and among different institutions and transforming our country into a sustainable and economically viable democracy.
The basis for growth, development, and progress, President Barrow said, are peace, security, and stability. He therefore called for implementation of the policy to start without delay, while expressing appreciation of the support from development partners.
The overall aim of the National Security Policy 2019 is for everyone to be responsive in countering security threats, while utilizing opportunities that prevail. The NSP sets out the directions government will take to safeguard our people and natural resources. The policy sufficiently provides a robust, coherent, and strategic approach to respond collectively to national security threats through swift decision-making processes, clear lines of accountability and responsibility.
UN Resident Coordinator in the Gambia, Serafin Wakana, speaking on behalf of the development partners, said the launch of the policy is a demonstration of the Gambia government's commitment to peace and security.
We, as development partners family here in the Gambia, is fully committed to continue providing the necessary support to the sustaining peace agenda of the country. The security sector reform process, including a comprehensive implementation of the new national security policy, is an integral component of this peace agenda. You will agree with me that a lot of work and coordination will be needed to achieve the desired result of the policy, and you can count on our continued support.
Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Tambadou, who is also the chairperson of the Security Sector Reform Steering Committee, used the occasion to recognize the important role of the Army, whom he said is not an enemy to the people, despite certain lapses in the past.
Yes. Allow me to dispel some misconceptions about the security sector reform process. This exercise is not all about reducing the size or number of our security personnel. This is perhaps at the bottom of our priority list, and when it occurs, we want to assure everyone that it will be done with the requisite care, fairness, sensitivity, and professionalism, and that no one will be targeted on account of their ethnicity, tribe, religion, or region. So we must get this reform process right, and very quickly as well. Because if we do not succeed in our security sector reform process, we risk undermining everything else that we have built and are still building over the past 2 years.
Special Advisor to the President, Mike Ahmed Fati, said the implementation of the policy will, among other things, bridge the gap between the security and the civilians.
The implementation of the new national security policy will, for the first time in the history of the Gambia, create the greatest opportunity to bridge the divide between our national army and the communities they serve. Thus, the national security policy, with the checks and balances, has made provisions for the civilian control of our armed and security forces.
Retired Colonel Maud Baji, Security Advisor to the President, said the event was a historic one in the annals of the country. He said a well-organized security sector is important for economic development and democratic growth. The reform process is expected to lead to the emergence of a professional, ethical, and competent security sector. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Following a month-long recess, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission Monday resumed its public hearings with the commencement of the 5th session, focusing mainly on the September 22, 1996 Denton Bridge clash between UDP militants and members of the armed forces, the institutional hearing on the media, and the June 1995 assassination of former Finance Minister Ousmane Koro Cissé. And Sumana Isonyasi reports.
Following a month-long recess, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission Monday resumed its public hearings with the commencement of the 5th session, focusing mainly on the September 22, 1996 Denton Bridge clash between UDP militants and members of the armed forces, the institutional hearing on the media, and the June 1995 assassination of former Finance Minister Ousmane Koro Cissé. This session's first witness, former Vice President and leader of the United Democratic Party, Ousainou A&M Dabo, testified about the Denton Bridge clash between UDP militants and rights violations against members of his party between 1996 and year 2000. The witness, in his testimony, made some startling and disturbing allegations, including claiming that former junta member Yankuba Toure, while speaking at an APRC rally in the build-up to the 1996 presidential elections, had publicly threatened to burn him Dabo alive.
But one thing was very prominent. Yankuba Toure did say that when I return from the provinces, I'll be burnt.
Could you say that again?
Yankuba Toure did say that when I return from the provinces, I would be burnt.
Who is this Yankuba Toure?
He was a member of the junta.
A member of the AFPRC?
A minister.
Which ministry did he hold?
I believe then he was Minister for Local Government.
Furthermore, the witness accused the APRC regime of rigging the 1996 presidential elections, alleging that the results were collated at the State House.
Though the results, as we have been released, we are leading throughout the country, and all of a sudden, for about 4 hours, there were no further releases of any results. In fact, we subsequently learned that collations were being done at State House. Votes cast for UDP were given to APRC. But at the end of that 4 hours, before results started coming in, had the chairman, provisional chairman, distinctly say, "Can I go now?"
Asked what he makes of the APRC's 22 years rule, the witness had this to say.
In 2 minutes, describe the Jammeh government to us and its human rights record during these past 22 years in which Jammeh was in power.
Well, Jammeh's government really, in my view, was known to be the worst government on the globe of this earth, on the face of this earth. Having regard to the size, both physical and population size of this country, the way that the Jammeh government treated with the citizens of this Gambia has never been done in another country. In other countries, people do have the courage to go out and protest. We see in other parts of the world where people are protesting against the wrong governance of their governments. But here, we were so intimidated. Each and every one of us were cowed to the extent that Jammeh had a free field to do whatever he willed. And he had willing partners, people who were supporting him in it, people who, actually praised him for doing these things. That those of us who did not support him, we were the bad citizens. So, it was really a government that was only Jammeh.
The witness also accused the Jammeh administration of abducting, brutalizing, and unlawfully detaining him and his party supporters on numerous occasions. Mr. Dabo is expected to reappear before the commission at a later date to testify on other issues. Ansumana Isonyasi for QTV News.
A group of diaspora Gambians called the Gambia Conference on Reforms and Democracy have had meetings with the Constitutional Review Commission and added their voices in the ongoing review of the 1997 Constitution. The group seeks to give a voice to Gambians living abroad, wishing to contribute opinions and suggestions on amending the country's laws. Babukar C. reports.
Referred to as the country's 8th region, Gambians residing abroad play a vital role in the development of the country. As such, they should have a chance and an important role in registering their views and suggestions for constitutional review. Although the conference had already gathered the views on constitutional change from those who had already submitted recommendations to the CRC, it was considered a good idea to meet and consider matters further via a roundtable discussion. At the roundtable meeting in Kololi, CRC Chairman Justice Cherno Suleiman Jallow thanked the group for their participation. He informed the conference that the CRC has gone far in its mandate to reach out to Gambians and that the diaspora is no exception.
It is important that whatever opinion we take as representative of the opinions and aspirations of the Gambian people, because that's the guide we have under the Constitutional Review Commission Act of 2017, we ensure that we can defend it. We want to ensure that whatever we leave out as well, we can defend it and explain it, which is why it's not only a constitution that we are writing, we will also be preparing a report. That report will outline what is in the Constitution, why what is in the Constitution is there, and also what opinions have been left out and why.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, highlighted the diaspora's important contribution to the country's development.
Your presence here today is of particular importance to us. It demonstrates the will and commitment to work together in building a new constitution that will not only last a lifetime, but will lay the foundation for the new Gambia built on strong institutions, democratic principles, and the rule of law. It is expected that the constitution building process will add a new impetus and hope in the revitalization of government-diaspora partnership for the development of our beloved country.
He went further to say that the government has a high regard for the Gambian diaspora. This was strengthened when the IEC chairman announced that come the next elections, Gambians abroad will have voting rights.
The Gambians in the diaspora will vote and be voted for in the next elections, and they will have representatives in the National Assembly. Indeed, these are rights that have been denied for far too long. Without preempting the discussions, I can safely say, as a keen follower of the CRRC, that this new development from the IEC already dovetails with the work of the CRRC. The decision is a true reflection of the overwhelming views and opinions garnered during local and external consultation conducted.
Jegan Gray Johnson, one of the architects of the conference, speaking on behalf of Right to Know Gambia, emphasized that the group meeting, the CRC, does not represent the entire diaspora community.
We are not exclusively representing the entire diaspora. I think that needs to be clear. But we are representing a segment that has been engaged with promoting human rights, transparency, and a culture of good governance for many years, and as a segment that has, in no small measure, contributed to the fight against tyranny. Our commitment to building a democratic nation is unflinching. Our resolve to support the birth of a new era in governance, good democratic practice, anchored by strong institutions and empowered by the citizenry that places a premium in the demand for public accountability through the principles of the right to probity and transparency remains paramount. Honorable Chair, dear colleagues, these aspirations will be tested. There'll be challenges, there'll be roadblocks, there'll be obstacles along this journey for our national transition. But be rest assured that we are with the CRC all the way. And today is just the beginning of what hopefully will be a long and fruitful partnership.
Gambians abroad are looking forward to involvement in key decision-making processes, among them the right to vote, to be represented at the National Assembly where laws are made, and have a secretariat or a ministry to look into the affairs of Gambians living abroad. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
On Monday at the University of the Gambia, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, organized an outreach forum to present the April 2019 Regional Economic Outlook for Sub-Saharan Africa, in particular the Gambia. Maria Tussar reports.
The Regional Economic Outlook is the flagship publication of the IMF's African Department and provides a cross-country analysis of economic development within Sub-Saharan Africa. The report outlines economic developments and the outlook for the region, setting out key challenges confronting the region's policymakers. It also contains country-specific data, economic forecast, and analytical chapters on regional issues of interest. The outreach, in the form of a PowerPoint presentation presented by the IMF residential representative in the Gambia, Dr. Ruby E.M. Randall, targeted students from different institutions, but predominantly featured students from the University of the Gambia. In her presentation, Dr. Ruby E.M. Randall explained that debt vulnerabilities have continued to rise in many sub-Saharan African countries, and policy action is needed to strengthen positions and enhance debt sustainability. She further addressed concerns about mismanagement of funds and what can be done to strengthen fiscal discipline.
Authorities have negotiated a staff-monitored program with the IMF, and in the process of doing so, they have agreed on targets, including the key fiscal anchor for the program is a zero net domestic borrowing target. So the idea is to mobilize as much revenue as possible, make sure expenditures are as efficient as possible and prioritized as possible, and then target a zero net domestic borrowing for the whole year. So during the year there might be some borrowing, but then some repayment during the year, but for the year as a whole, by the time we get to December 31st, we expect to see zero net domestic borrowing. So that's ensuring the fiscal discipline.
A question and answer session allowed participants to ask about various issues of national interest. Public sector experts on economic and financial issues were present to give informed answers. Dr. Siku A.K. Jabi, the first Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, says the introduction of the new currency notes in the Gambia is to meet a demand for high currency need. He further cleared up the notion that foreigners own all forex bureaus in the Gambia.
Let me start from the first. I must say, our guideline on forex bureau, to operate a forex bureau here in this country, you must be Gambian. There is no foreigner operating a forex bureau here. You must be Gambian. I don't know whether the full people you are saying, they are also Gambian. Really? Yeah, you must be Gambian, really, because we want to, it's a very delicate industry. We want our own people to handle it. You cannot even have somebody you delegate to represent you. No, you must be Gambian. If you ask regarding the presentation, but certainly our new currency that this month we are starting to give a public lecture on it, public education on it. because we are expecting its first shipment of the currency to come in by end of June. By July, latest August, it should be in the market.
Babakar Job, Director of Economic Policy and Research at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, explains that the policy to regulate the use of official vehicles by public officials is still in place, but some part of it has been reviewed.
But we are currently reviewing aspects of it, because the rationale for the vehicle policy was, as much as possible, reduce the wastage of resources to some extent that were associated, or we found that were associated with the utilization of government vehicles. It's not a secret that you do see government vehicles in places after working hours that are not maybe supposed to be. So we're trying as much as possible to reduce those incidences. But it also had a part where you also, because the transportation system in the country is not well organized. So you had staff of ministries who are actually working, then find it actually difficult to move from their houses or to move from where they're staying to offices. So these are some of the teething problems that we've had in terms of implementing it fully, but we'll definitely implement it.
Reporting for QTV News, I am Maria Tussar.
A new borehole was on Sunday inaugurated at Walikunda village in Nyamina. The facility supports the women to venture into vegetable production. Babakar Sise reports.
The borehole was funded by a UK-based charity, Helping Hand Africa, whose aim is to improve the quality of life of Gambians, especially the vulnerable, women and children. Speaking at the inauguration, the CEO, Helping Hand Africa, Mbai Jallo, explains how they raise funds and their plans for improving the women's garden.
What we do in Helping Hand Charity is collect used clothes and process them, then bring them to Gambia, and the receipts of what we use to build this borehole. Our intention in Helping Hand Charity is to give the people a hand up, not handouts, because handouts will not take them anywhere. But if we provide them facilities like boreholes, then they can be able to farm and produce their own food. Our intention is to expand this project to other communities. Now the challenge we have is to fence this area, which is about 200 by 200 square meter, and to have a structure in the place where the women can use as a changing room and a toilet facility and a storage.
The chairman, Helping Hand Africa, Lang Conte, said the project is to empower women for sustainable development.
We are here today to assist you so that you will be able to increase your income capacity, especially for the women. Once the women are empowered and they are able to generate income, it's the children that benefit from it. It goes to the food, it brings in cleanliness, because you buy soap, you buy fish, you buy clothing, and look after the children properly. So please, I'm appealing to you, the alcalos and the imams, make sure you provide sufficient support for these women. The women folk, now the ball is in your court. You don't have to wait for the rainy season to come. You can start your garden dry season activity now, and you benefit from it early rainy season. That will not stop you from going to the rice fields.
The women leader, Dado Jallo, says this is the first time they have received such a support.
We are so happy. When you get what you've never had, you will be excited. We've never had a garden before, so we are grateful.
An 8-year-old Isa Jallo, whose father set up the charity, says he is surprised that water is scarce in some parts of the country.
I'm proud of my father. He brought water for the Malukunda people. In Malukunda, there's no water, but in UK, there is water everywhere.
The alcalo of the village, the imam and women representatives and children all turned out to grace the occasion. Helping Hand Africa has in the past donated library books and clothing to Bani Lower Basic School in North Bank region. Babakar Sise, QTV News.
Community Action Support Association, CASA Gambia, in partnership with Stars Shine for Everyone and Aries Production, have donated a telescope to Brookfoot Lower Basic School. It is hoped this will stimulate students' interest in astrology and physics. The handing over took place at the school grounds. Ajibintu tells us more.
Shine for Everyone decided to donate the telescope to enhance students' knowledge and stimulate an interest among them in astrology. Viewing the wonders of these planets, the moon and stars, physics and math. Alassane Kemo Kamara, Executive Secretary of CASA, explains the importance of the telescope and how students and teachers will benefit from it.
The telescope will also help the students to understand the gravity and other fundamental laws of the physical world. It will also undoubtedly help the students to understand the light that radiates from the sun and other stars. Furthermore, these telescopes will also be used to allow the students to study objects in the universe and lots more. Therefore, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to Mr. Mabula, who donated this material to CASA Gambia for it to be presented to Brookfoot Lower Basic School to be used as a learning material.
Alassane added that the school should take good care of the gift so that it can be used for a long time in their learning activities. He also expressed his gratitude to their partners. As one who is enthusiastic in discovering about the planets, Bambula Havakamp, CEO of Aries Production, also welcomed the idea. He gives us a brief description of his background. He says that the donated equipment gives a great opportunity for every student to study the view of the night sky, moon and planets. He also said the telescope should be used and taken care of properly. He added that there are extra cleaning kits to preserve and prolong the life of the telescope.
I was born in Tanzania, in East Africa. I am the son of two Dutch parents and I was raised in the Netherlands. From my study background, I am an astronomer, an astrophysicist, and after my studies, I have worked for several years in the finance industry before becoming an ICT consultant. The telescope that will be donated is robust and easy to use. If treated carefully, the telescope should give pleasure for many years to come. And it should stimulate technical education as well.
With the permission of and the presence of his teacher, Sehusar Kamara, a 14-year-old 6th grade student who wishes to be a scientist in the future, expressed his feelings about this welcome gift, saying having a telescope in his school will have a positive impact on his education.
I'm very happy to have such thing in our school. It's very important for our education. It will help us to recite things in science, like when we are doing science subjects.
A telescope can view objects billion miles from planet Earth to the sky. It also comes in all shapes and sizes. Using a 15-centimeter scope, one can read the writing on a tiny coin from 150 feet away. Ajibintu Dwame, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main stories. President Adama Barrow said the security reform initiated by his government seeks to establish a safe and secured country for Gambians. The Gambian leader made this comment at the launch of the first ever national security policy on Monday at the local hotel in Kololi. Following a month-long recess, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission Monday resumed its public hearings with the commencement of the 5th session, focusing mainly on the September 22, 1996 Denton Bridge clash between UDP militants and members of the armed forces, the institutional hearing on the media, and the June 1995 assassination of former Finance Minister Usman Koro Sise. A group of diaspora Gambians called the Gambia Conference on Reforms and Democracy have had meetings with the Constitutional Review Commission and added their voices in the ongoing review of the 1997 Constitution. The group seeks to give a voice to Gambians living abroad, wishing to contribute opinions and suggestions on amending the country's laws. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thank you for watching.